welcome back everyone. In today's video I've got my Hinoki cypress Marueeen, which has been on the channel a few times now. So the whole video for this is just going to be sped up kind of 2 times. Just to get through the main bulk of it. And at the end I've also got my new bench set up, so hang tight for that. Nothing really drastic with this tree this time, it's just thinning back out again. Getting it back into shape. Cutting back some of those stronger branches. Make it look more like a mini tree than just a ball of fluff, essentially. I've been thinking about what I want to do next year with this tree. And apart from needing repotting, just because it's been in this nursery container for a year and a half with me, maybe 2.5 years in total. I've got this one from Perrywoods, which is a bit of a better nursery, and you find with better nurseries they don't just repot trees and sell them on straight away. Some of the worst nurseries or the bad nurseries will just rip a tree out of the ground, or out of wherever they grow them in growing fields, and then just put them into a pot and sell them within like a month. Hence why a lot of them look terrible by the time you get them home. But yeah, generally better nurseries will kind of pot trees up and then give them about a year before they actually start selling them. Now this tree isn't without its issues. The back of this tree has like a bit of a bald spot that I've been trying to grow out a little bit more. I could also potentially wire this. I don't really like wiring around autumn time. I like to wire more winter or early spring. I mean, luckily with this species of tree it grows really slowly, so I'm pretty sure even if you did put wire on the branches, you're not really going to get any wire cutting in. That tends to only really happen with fast growing species, or unless you left the wire on there for years on end. But again, this is quite a small tree, it's quite a finicky tree, so just trying to wire it would be an absolute nightmare as well, so I'm going more clip and grow with this one. And the idea is for this tree, it's supposed to be looking like an oak tree. Essentially, if you could, which I probably could to be fair, if you can Photoshop this tree into a field, it's just supposed to look like a normal kind of oak tree growing in the middle of a growing field somewhere. A farmer's field, you know, that kind of look. And these are the kind of trees that I see the most, being from UK or England. We tend not to really have many like ancient trees with, you know, the whole curve, you know, the whole bonsai kind of aesthetic, which is, you know, lots of movement and all that kind of stuff. Not around my area anyway. They're all quite simple trees, put it that way. Or formal upright, should I call them. But yeah, discussing the repotting, so as I say, number 1, it's been in this container for quite a while. Number 2, though, I'm also trying to look to thicken the trunk, because you can see the trunk is quite thin for how big the tree is, and it does need to thicken up somewhat. And I'll probably leave a sacrificial branch somewhere, probably at the apex, and just try and grow this out a little bit more, a little bit thicker. I also need to find out what the actual nabari is like. I have dug down to surface roots, as I always do when I first start with a tree, but you never know if that's actually the true root base until you get to repotting it. You know, some bonsai enthusiasts like to repot trees as soon as they get them to figure out where that root base is. I've tried this way before, and for me it's quite risky. I've lost a few trees trying to repot them too early. I usually like to buy a tree, leave it for a year in the pot that it come in, before I try and mess around with any roots. So we are nearing the end of the styling. And again, right, this isn't like a finished tree, it's nowhere near it. I'm just trying to cut back and keep the silhouette that I had. And make sure that the interior growth is still growing rather than dying off because of, well, it looking like a ball, essentially. And this will be the final look at the tree for this year. As you can see, that bald spot there. We need to sort that out at some point. But other than that, the tree's looking pretty good. I like the shape, I like the styling. So we'll see how that gets on. Little glamour shot here. And then the bench. Let's move on to that. So you can see the new parts here on the right. Had my tool bags out because I had to put it all together. I made this bench just out of pallets and leftover bits and bobs from my brother, essentially. He's a landscaper. He does like a lot of hard landscaping. So yeah, these are all parts that whenever I help him out, I'll take home and then sort out from there. Put the bench together. And then when I was moving the old bench, it kind of just fell apart on me. That's how rotten it was. And in that time, I realised there was a birch seedling growing in the side of it. The roots were kind of wrapped around the back of the bench, which is quite funny because there's no soil obviously here, right? All this is just debris and dead leaves, and yeah, it's just amazing how something can actually be growing there. Like, what's the chances, kind of thing, you know? And you'll see in a minute just how long this root goes, or these roots go. I think the roots on this, when I first pulled it, were about 1 metre long. All around the back of the bench, out of one seedling. Yeah, there you go. Maybe not 1 metre, maybe about 50 centimetres or so. Anyway, back to the bench. So, it was a lovely day. We won't listen to that for too long. So yeah, sanding it down. One of the pallets I had was like a red pallet. Really good wood, but just red. And also I wanted to make sure that I covered this with like a waterproof coating. So it's called like water seal, which is usually used for bricks and, you know, like base of walls and retaining walls and sleepers and stuff like that. As you can see, these are all just off cut bits of wood really, and I'll just obviously put them all together to make a new bench. And the idea of the new bench is multi-story, set back from each other. Now my old bench my brother actually made for me, and I love the bench, don't get me wrong. The amount of trees I had, it was getting a bit too small, and also the first and second story were stacked on top of each other, so there was no sunlight getting to the bottom level of it, so I could really only use the top, which is kind of wasted space. So I made my own little version here. The idea of this one is just the marmate tree is going to go on the top, most of my showing on the middle, and the bigger trees at the bottom. And the one at the bottom is just to try and get some of these trees off the ground. We get a lot of, or I get a lot of slugs, and slugs then attract hedgehogs and other pests, and I'm trying to get them off the ground to stop that. I also had an ant's nest in my cedar pot, and I'm hoping that lifting this off the ground stops that kind of stuff from happening. So I had a lovely day sanding this down. And that's just a quick image of how it looked before all the trees went on, and this is how the setup was once I put all the trees back. It's still very squashed, very, very squashed. I need bigger room, essentially. More room. But I think it's a lot more organised, and all the trees get a bit more sunlight to themselves rather than being all squashed. And then at the end of the day, the sun was setting, and I got this image, which is quite a nice image, I think. That's all for today. I hope to see you again soon.